Multinational waste company Averda has lost its court bid to evict reclaimers from its landfill. The company had gone to court alleging that it was under attack from unknown armed men. It was under this pretext that Averda were granted an urgent eviction order.
The Red came and took our guys. They kidnapped our guys, they beat our guys, they robbed our guys. All those things, I think it was a strategy to intimidate us.
The court has now found that Averda acted in bad faith, as it had a long-standing relationship with the reclaimers who've worked on their landfill for close on 2 decades.
Averda did what most multi-corporates do, which is to assume that poor people cannot access the courts and defend themselves.
In a surprise twist, Averda has now offered the reclaimers employment, promising to pay them a minimum wage when they can earn far more unearthing recyclable waste that the company buries deep in the landfill, which is harmful to the environment. The Genesis landfill reclaimers are in a celebratory mood. They say for the past 3 years, they've been bullied by multinational waste company Averda. Now that the court has ruled in their favor, they thought that things would change. But for them, it's a bittersweet victory.
We felt recognized, we felt a bit of something because we had been treated like unknown people. We were treated like robbers, like criminals. Because Averda had gone to court and lied about us, told the court that we're criminals, we carry guns, or at least we have been working there. That gave us a little bit of sense to say, at least someone recognizes us.
The Socio-Economic Rights Institute says the reclaimers have won their case against Averda, but the court didn't rule on whether they can now access the landfill.
They were very excited because for them it vindicated what they'd been saying all along, that they had a relationship with Averda and its predecessors, and that relationship was very formal. But the only disappointment to the case was the fact that the case didn't go, the ruling didn't go into the merits. So, which is to say, it didn't say you can now go back into the landfill side. It just said the order that says you can't go back has been discharged.
The reclaimers say that when their lawyers explained to them the legal aspects of the court case, they were disappointed.
It's a day that we've been waiting for quite a long time. We had been waiting, of course. We were hoping that our lives will change. And we were so emotional in such a way that we even thought that this is the brand new day. But now, for us, it wasn't a brand new day because the court delivered something that we were not expecting that it was going to deliver. We were happy before, but after the court case, after the decision that came out, it turned out to be something else.
The 32 reclaimers say they have been collecting waste on the privately owned landfill for close to 2 decades. This was an agreement that they had with the previous owner's waste giant. But when Averda, a Dubai company, bought the landfill in 2015, the bullying started.
The reclaimers won the case, but now Averda, through Seri and the reclaimers at Averda, they approached Averda to say, can we find an amicable solution that we go back to the landfill and start working as we used to work with the previous owners of the landfill, as they were inducted by the previous landfill owner, and they were even given identification card, and they were working very nicely. They were making a lot of money.
After their violent eviction by the Red Ants in June last year, the reclaimers were forced to work on the landfill at night because they need to make a living. In a previous program, we got some insight on what it's like on the landfill after hours.
I don't think there are no other options that I have besides it, because at the present moment you can see the unemployment rate as it is in the country is going higher and higher every day. So as for me, I've been doing this thing for almost 15 years now. This is the experience that I have, and most of our guys have been here for a long time. It's the least experience that we have in life.
The risks associated with a job are high.
The risk working at night in a street place is that it's an open place and anyone can come in, because most people know that what we're doing here, we're making a living, we're making money of it. They can come in and rob and take everything that you worked, and you left with nothing. Because recently some of our guys were robbed here of recyclable things. That's the most major risk that we're facing here, because most of them, they come in carrying guns.
Working at night also limits their sight, affecting their ability to sift through the piles of waste that Averde dumps on the landfill daily.
They are risky here. It's a dump site, definitely there are some bogies, razors, all those sharp things.
Despite this, the reclaimers say it's worth it. Much of the waste that they unearth from the landfill is recyclable waste.
As you can see here, there's no separation of recyclable waste. The waste has been buried deep in the landfill. It's an arduous task for these reclaimers to find waste which they can recycle.
They say the recyclable waste on Averde's landfill is plentiful and profitable. This has attracted rival groups of waste reclaimers onto the landfill. Recently, one of their members was shot outside the Averde landfill site.
There's 3 different factions there. So Dumisani is part of the people, those are the first people that started working there, and came a group, 2 other groups of the Soto nationals that came in there and they start fighting amongst themselves. And then we as Aero had to intervene. And then these 2 other groups of the Lesotho, we had to tell them they will exchange working shifts. The other ones will come in Monday. The other group will come on Tuesday. But these original guys that started working there, they will go in every day.
Aero, the African Reclaimers Organization, says Johannes Chaba, also known as Dumisani, was a known activist who defended their territory against rival groups.
It's too controversial because there was a lot that he was active in. Anyone is a suspect right now, because even when we're going for meetings to the gate in Averde to get some meetings, he was one of our front guys. So we don't know who targeted him. Maybe someone sent someone to kill him because he was too vocal. We don't know. But the only thing that we know that it was a targeted hit.
Since the killing of Dumisani, the reclaimers say they've been living in fear.
It's so painful, man. You are sitting here on the fire. So there are 2 guys who just came from that angle. They just came, closing their faces. We didn't even realize who are they. Then they shoot at him. They shoot him with 9 shots.
Aero says the police are investigating the circumstances around the shooting of their colleague. The reclaimers say Dumisani's murder is the direct result of them being forced to work on the landfill at night when it's unsafe. After the 32 reclaimers were violently evicted and assaulted by the Red Ants outside the Averde landfill site, the multinational waste company was back in court to finalize the eviction order. But the Socio-Economic Rights Institute opposed the order on behalf of the reclaimers.
The reclaimers had approached SERI for legal representation, and then SERI then opposed the application. And because now it was opposed, it could not be decided and confirmed in an unopposed court. It had to be postponed to an opposed court. We then requested the deputy judge president for a special allocation, which means that we're requesting for a judge that was going to specifically listen to this case, because we felt that the merits and the facts of this case needed the special attention of a specific judge.
In May 2018, when Averda approached the court for an urgent interdict to evict the reclaimers, it said it was doing so on an ex parte basis. This meant that the reclaimers were not present in court to defend the matter.
If you are bringing a case on an ex parte basis and there's material facts that are known to you, you need to disclose those material facts to the court to enable the court to consider those in making its ruling. So we went to court firstly on that technical issue to say Averda failed to do that. It painted and described the reclaimers as these nameless and faceless people, when in fact it knows these reclaimers, the specific 32 reclaimers that SABC represents. Those reclaimers have existed on the landfill side for almost 2 decades now. They existed before Averda and before some of its predecessors.
Averda declined to be interviewed. In a written statement, it says it will abide by the court's decision and will not appeal the matter. The company insists it will not allow anyone to pick waste on its landfills, saying it has offered the 32 reclaimers employment at a recycling facility that will open in September 2019.
In my view, I don't think it's better for me to work for Averda, because Averda has shown that they're not someone I can work with from the start. If they could go to court and say they don't know me, how do they know me now to say they call me and say, come, we employ you? For me, with us, Averda, we've never had a good relationship. Because one thing, it will be downgrading our lives. They'll be paying us 3,900. Well, at least a month, we can make something like 12,000, 10,000. If I was an independent collector, I make a lot of money.
Averda says its facility will recycle paper and plastic. It says in turn, this will remove the need for reclaimers to access its landfills. But the reclaimers remain skeptical of the job offer. They say the company is only doing so to save face.
We don't accept this contract. This contract, 20 rand an hour is too little for us. So if you can multiply it in a month, it's 3 point something. West Giant have been working with us nicely from 6 o'clock until 6 o'clock evening. The materials which we get from in the morning until in the evening, it was much better. We were able to supply even the recycling companies whatever they want to buy from us. We were able to pay debts for our kids. We were able to pay debts for the rents. We were able to do a lot of things for our families. All these materials is the one which...
Christopher says these bags of recyclable waste are all they could get in an hour on the landfill. He says when they were allowed to work in the day, they could collect 10 times more waste. He says Averda has no recycling plan to save landfill airspace.
Averda doesn't do recycling. They are only burying each and every recyclable material which they dump there, of which it's not a good healthy to the environment. It's affecting the global change.
He says it's painful to see trucks full of recyclable waste which Averda dumps and buries deep in the landfill. There's an array of recyclable waste. It's not just paper and plastic which Averda now wants to start recycling. What have you got here?
Here I've got steel. These are some of steel which they dump there by the dump site. These are recyclable material. It's so painful to find that they're dumping this thing, and you find that for you to get these things, you have to dig deep down. There will be sand on top of it. So if you just see something like one of it, you will be like, maybe I'll get a lot down there. And here we've got copper. These coppers are recyclable materials. cans are the most valuable thing of all, because these are recyclable, and it's safe to healthy people, for the health of people. That's why you find that they've changed it. During previously, they used to make it of steel, but now they're made of aluminium. So aluminium is so scarce, you can't just find it anywhere. So you have to recycle it, but you find that they bury them.
In her judgment, the High Court's Judge Mahalelo says, I hold the view that the applicant, having failed to disclose the material facts, acted in material breach of its duty to act in utmost good faith in instituting the urgent ex parte order.
They did act in bad faith because they knew these people and they did not disclose that to the court. And that is the essential part of the court order, which is to say you knew about these people and you failed to disclose the material facts about these people before the court. And as such, the court did not confirm the interim interdate.
The eviction order was cancelled, with Averda instructed to pay the legal costs. As more and more people become unemployed, for some, the only means of survival is to collect recyclables. It's a contested space with reclaimers seen as a nuisance by some motorists on the road or on landfills from where they are being pushed out and subjected to abuse. The Socio-Economic Rights Institute says the recent court ruling brought into focus the importance of the work that the reclaimers do.
It brings to the attention of the public and the courts the work of the reclaimers and how they make a living. Because often people just see them as an eyesore, dirty people who are just they making our streets dirty and the landfills are dirty. Whereas the work that they do it's very good for the environment and it earns them a living, a very decent living.
In our previous program, we reported on how the city of Johannesburg had excluded reclaimers from its waste management system when it signed a contract with private companies Pambile and Dikala to collect recyclables. It also began a mandatory separation of recyclable waste in some suburbs.
Our separation at source that the city introduced last year, up to so far it's a year later. We don't see anything positive about that. The residents don't recognize it as something positive, as something that should be made mandatory, because the reclaimers at this present moment, they retracting materials from the wheelie bins rather than on the plastics, because what on the plastics that the city is providing the residents put non-recyclable things, which is not useful to the city, which is not useful to us as reclaimers. So I don't see it as a positive thing. It's not benefiting either one of us, the city, Pick It Up, or even the reclaimers.
However, Pick It Up says recorded data has shown that the program is working in more affluent suburbs.
The separation of source program mostly in high income areas, it is indeed working. We've seen a reduction in a way between now and this financial year. We were at some point all waste, 1.4 million tons of waste, including recyclable waste, went to our landfill sites. And since the introduction, we have reduced that number to around about 1.2. Now, if you take the figures that reclaimers are also responsible for, that figure is huge.
Unlike on the Averda landfill, the reclaimers are allowed on the city's landfills. Away from the city, 44-year-old Labogang Lahasa is part of a group of reclaimers that have been recycling waste on a patch of land in Midrand for the past 15 years.
Bana lebo 15 years ba dula mo di-complex tsena tse pela yona mona di haua bakgerisi ba sentse ba le teng ka moo ba dula ka mona jwale ha morao ho so ho hlaella batho ba leng hore ba re kgetlowe mona ke poleke ya bona fela pele re ne re tsebile poleke ena e le tsela e le ya masepala jwale re dutse mo ho yona ka dilemo tse re di dutseng tse telele re sebeletsa mo ho tsona mo ho yona ke mo re sebeletsang teng mo re phelang teng.
Rapid urbanization in the past few years has seen office parks and residential areas being built around the land that he and other reclaimers occupy. Seri says it's defending the alleged eviction in court.
What we're trying to do with this case is to bring to the attention of the court that this is not your normal eviction where people are going to end up homeless. If these people are evicted, they lose their ability to make a living. So it's not just the roof over their head that you're taking, it's the bread on their table that you're also taking.
Labogang says if they are evicted, it will affect the livelihoods of more than 70 people that generate an income from recycling waste.
Batho ba dulang mona ka kakaretso ya bona bao ke nang le nenane la bona ke batho ba 78 mme batho bana ba 78 ba phelang mona ke batho ba kgeresang ke ba kgeresi kaofela ke batho ba hulang trole ba phelang ka recycling.
He says with the pending eviction hanging over their heads, they are living in constant fear.
Morafo o phelang mona le setjhaba sena se phelang mona ka taba yana ena fela ya hore ba tlotlosuwa mona ihle sentse ba phela ba le matswalong ihle ba tsitsipane haholo ke taba ena mme e ba hlorisitse dipelong haholo ka hona jwale ba tla ya kae mme mo ba yang teng ba ilo phela jwang ihle se hlorile haholo ntate setjhaba sena mo se tshwareile ha bohloko se sitwa le ho sebetsa ka phutholoho ka taba eno ya hore fela ho bile le tlhaiso eno ya hore ba tlotlosuwa kwa.
Seri says just like in the Averda matter, the Midrand reclaimers have a constitutional right to be heard by the court before any decisions can be made that could affect their lives.
The jurisprudence over the years has been very clear that if you want to evict unlawful occupiers on your property, then you need to go to the courts, get a court order, and that court order can't be granted unless a court has had before itself all the relevant circumstances of these occupiers. So an eviction that would lead to homelessness is illegal. It cannot be granted. The courts have said that. The Constitutional Court has made that unequivocally clear.
Reclaimers are the founders of the recycling age. It's an industry which they started on their own when it wasn't fashionable to recycle waste, but yet they are harassed, marginalized and stigmatized by society, authorities and multinational waste companies who have failed to value their enormous contribution to saving the environment.